Metta World Peace, also known as Ron Artest, played 18 years in the NBA and helped the Lakers win a championship in 2010. However, he's often remembered for his role in one of the league's ugliest moments in 2004's Malice in the Palace. The incident was a part of a recent Showtime film called Quiet Storm, the Ron Artest story. LA Times' Arash Markazi has written about it, and he joins us now. Arash, I want to start here with setting the tone with what type of player Ron Artest or Metta World Peace was. For those who maybe forget and think he was just a role player, he was a very good player.
Exactly. He was a very emotional player, someone that the Lakers really wanted. In 2008, he was at the finals where the Lakers lost to the Celtics, and he famously walked into the shower. Kobe Bryant's there. He's taking a shower, and he promised that, I'm going to join your team and help you win a championship. Now, they won in 2009, but as you mentioned, he helped them win in 2010. He was just this fierce player, and Kobe loved playing with him. He loved having someone like that to play with.
I'm kind of shocked at the security.
Exactly.
He's not even a part of the team. He gets to just walk by and hop in the showers, okay? But let's start here, okay? So the Malice in the Palace happens, and I remember, I'm from Michigan, and I remember watching that Pistons game live and in the flesh, and I remember just being, wow, it's unreal, it's surreal. He talked about in the piece that you wrote how that really tarnished his image and kind of ruined his life, maybe financially, from things that he lost from endorsements and other opportunities, and obviously missing 80–90% of the league that year. I think it was $5 million he lost. How much did that affect him then, and then how much did that affect him now?
It's very, when you go back to that time period, he was the Defensive Player of the Year. He was one of the top players, and the Pacers really feel like that was their championship season,
a really
right?
Good team.
And as you know, those were the top two teams. And in that game where this happened, the Pacers were blowing out the Pistons. I mean, they were in a position of, this is our moment, and it happened in November, so it was the beginning of that season. He misses that entire season, the entire playoffs, was really never the same player. He was a very good player when he came back, but wasn't one of the top 10 players, and at that point in his career, he had endorsements, he was getting commercials, he was really becoming one of the top players in the league, and he never reclaimed that, so he kind of goes back to that moment of saying, at least I won a championship, at least I hit that big shot to win that championship, but I was never the same guy.
Well, speaking of guys, there was the guy that threw the beer, the diet soda, as you mentioned in the piece. Everybody says it was something else, but he threw that. And for those who maybe didn't recall, Ron Artest at the time is laying down. He's basically saying, I don't want to fight you, Ben Wallace, I'm a Piston player. I'm just going to be peaceful. And he's kind of laying on the scorer's table. And the guy throws the diet soda and it hits him. He runs into the crowd, and then they get into it. Now, years later, of all people, Ron and that guy have a friendship?
Yeah, John Green, he was able to find him through Twitter. He tweeted one day, listen, I want to find this guy. And I think a lot of people thought, like, are you going to try to track him down? Are you going to try to get one more punch in or something like that? He wanted just to connect with this man and become friends with him. And his initial goal was to travel the country and basically say, hey, listen, we are now friends. That did not happen, but he still keeps in touch with John Green. So it was really amazing that these guys have sparked this relationship and a friendship.
I've been around Metta World Peace, and I've heard him talk about this, and I didn't believe him. Like, is there some show coming? Is this for TV? But he actually has done it. But if you spend some time with him, he's a very complex person because, as you mentioned, he's very emotional, combustible at times, coming from where he came from in Queens, New York, and he has that tough guy edge. But he's also very jovial and loving and kind of caring and funny. So kind of talk about just how he's a complex person and how you might get a different side of him depending on what time in his life you met him.
100%. I mean, it was so amazing at the premiere of his film. You had Mike Tyson there, you had Jeannie Buss there, you had Linda Rambis, Kurt Rambis, Jordan Clarkson, Nick Young, an amazing collection of people. And when he meets you, he remembers you, and he wants to stay in touch with you. And it's amazing. I hadn't seen him in years, and he says, oh, so how's your family? How's your brother? And I'm like, I mean, how does this guy remember all this? And you go talk to his teammates love him.
Right.
And Kobe was, I mean, that was the one guy Kobe wanted to play with, because if you remember, when he was with Houston, Kobe and him, like, they did not like each other. And he talks about in the film, Paul Pierce, he hated him. But he said, not as a person, but just as a player. So Ron Artest, when he played, was so fierce when he played, but off the court, I mean, just such a nice guy. And to that point, one of the highlights of the film, his first year with the Chicago Bulls, he wants to get a discount on a TV, so he gets a part-time job at Circuit City. I mean, that's the way his mind works. He wants to. You're talking about one of the top players of the league gets a part-time job at.
Can you imagine that? You're like, hey, babe, I gotta go to work today with my coworker. Oh, by the way, he plays for the Bulls.
Yeah.
But he's also can sell you a TV if you need one. And lastly, Arash, when it comes to what LA means to him, he said it feels like it's his second home. What exactly did the city do for him, and what has he done for the town?
Yes, listen, I mean, he's from New York, but his time here, he really loved it. The city embraced him, and obviously, you know, when you win a championship here, you are beloved. So whenever he walks around town, people love him. So he still lives here. He calls this home, and it's one of those cities he's like, I'm never gonna leave. I love Queensbridge, I love New York, but this is my new home now.
What do you think is in the future for Metta World Peace?
So he is big in the mental health field now. He wants to help people out. As you remember famously, when he won that championship in 2010, he said, I want to thank my doctor for helping me. Again, just to calm himself. It took him years to figure out what was wrong, and and that he needed to talk things out. And as you remember, in the Palace, he wasn't showboating. He needed to go to a quiet place, which is why he laid down. But now he wants to help out players who, if they're going through things and if they need someone to talk to, he wants to be that guy.
Well, hopefully, I mean, he has a breadth of experience, so he can be that. And I've always said that was a very uncomfortable moment. I don't know how I would have reacted if someone threw a beer or a diet soda directly in my face in a heated moment while I'm trying to relax. So I've always kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. Everyone, oh, I would never. You don't know until you're in that moment. So, but Arash, great work as always, so I appreciate it. Arash's Page Through column appears every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday in the LA Times.